Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Suds News. I am Vinny. This is Angela, back after her power outage of last week in a very much cooler climate in the Northeast.
Yes.
Angela, how was your week?
Crazy busy. Not bad, just crazy busy.
I
So,
completely understand.
Yeah, just family stuff.
Yeah.
And the boys are on vacation, which has been great. I took them to the ocean for the first time.
Oh, nice.
They've never been. And they've been to lakes, they've been to ponds, they've been to the pool. And we live near I've never brought them to the ocean before. I don't know why it had never occurred to me. Probably because we're like surrounded by rivers and lakes and ponds that are just right here. And the ocean's like an hour drive, but I've been going down to help my great aunt. So I bring the boys, they do their summer schoolwork, and she's only 10 minutes from the beach. So then after I help her out for an hour or two while they do their stuff and hang out, I reward them with a beach trip.
Awesome.
So it's been win-win.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's the best way to motivate kids for getting their schoolwork done is a beach day.
Oh, mainly I'm just trying to bribe them to be good while I help my great aunt because she's 97 and so
Gotcha.
I'm like, please just be good. And they have been. They've been fabulous. So it's good.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad that your summer is starting off good. Now
what about yours?
What was that?
How about yours?
Oh, pretty good. As you know, we are here on a shady Sunday edition of Suds News because I'm actually working tomorrow night. So it's been good. Got my promotion at work, so my body is still adjusting to the new schedule, which means less early mornings, some more late nights. But for the most part, Suds News on a Monday will be staying intact for the most part. If we ever have to change, I will let everybody know and we'll adjust accordingly.
I was going to say, I'm on board with changing to Sunday, but I'm whatever you want to do. You know me.
I have no problem going for Sunday. It's just I can't guarantee that I'll have Sunday nights always free. So Mondays are the free nights for me for the most part.
Right.
So, anyways, hi Donna.
Oh, I have nothing. I'm good.
Hi Jeannie. Welcome to the chat. Donna says she needs a good picture of me to AI unicorn image.
Yes, you're an honorary unicorn because you hype up our Charlie.
Very nice, very nice. Hi Jeannie. Hi Tina. Jeannie said the beach is only 7 miles from her in San Diego. That's fantastic. Enjoy the 619 area code. All right. So we've got a lot to go over as always. Last week, as you know, Angela had no power, so we kind of combined Suds News and Gate Crashers. And I was going based off the chat, and we had a good conversation going last week. And then, you're in the 760. I'm sorry. Well, I only know 619 because of Rey Mysterio. So that's the only reason that I know the 619 area code. And I thought that was all San Diego. Anyways, but I was on my own as you saw. Kim joined me about an hour in, talked about Beyond the Gates. But
I'm sorry, guys. What are you going to do? The internet was out. There was nothing I could do. I tried to, hang out in the chat on my phone, which was not fun, but we did it. You guys were great.
All right. Well, thank you for that vote of confidence because I enjoyed it. Although sometimes I feel like when I'm by myself, which is why I always like a co-host, but when I'm by myself, sometimes it doesn't go very well. Anyways, I do want to let everybody know about our new sponsor, W Energy. For those of you who know that I normally have late nights when it comes to Suds News because I used to get up very early in the morning. So I needed to use my coffee. But for the most part now, I've been using W Energy, which is a genderless energy potion made from coffee fruit extract. They are one of our newest sponsors. Check it out. Go to wdubby.gg. Use promo code Suds Media for 10% off. And I'm telling you, they make hydration drinks as well. I'm partial to the Pine Berry Splash, which is strawberry and pineapple flavored. I truly enjoy it. And check it out. W.gg. Use promo code Suds Media for 10% off. All right. Mm-hmm. So, how have you been liking General Hospital over this past couple of weeks?
I have been loving pretty much all of it. You know, I mean, as always, there are always going to be things where I'm like, I would have done that a little different. But all good as far as I'm concerned. I think it's been, again, full steam ahead. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I know that I'm on an island a lot of the times, but I'm okay with that, as we know.
And I'm okay on being on the island with you because I'm enjoying every minute of it. The writing has been fantastic. You know, and I don't want to get into the hate because a lot of people are, you know, they live just to hate.
Absolutely. Just, you know, it's so, and I mean, I almost understand during the winter because there's not a whole hell of a lot more left to do, but for the love of Christ, go out, do something fun. If you hate this show that much,
yeah,
you know, and I know there are people who are like, well, you know, I want it. I love this show and I want it to be better, but that's not what you're going for when you're calling for it to be canceled and you're calling for Frank to be fired. And, you know, I mean, knock it off. You know, let's be realistic, people.
So last week I actually alluded to something, and I didn't have the correct quote with me, but I have it now. And I might as well bring it up because we're talking about the internet and the so Twitter and all of that. Nick Khan, who is the president of WWE, he was recently on the Stephanie McMahon podcast, What's Your Story? And he had a quote, which I think is something that relates to how ABC looks at soap Twitter as well as the WWE. So he says, Steph, I promise you this. I've never once searched my name on X on any social media platform, on Google. If it says something positive, it has no relevancy to me. If it says something negative, it has no relevancy to me. And it's something I love hearing that Paul says to you. I know he believes that. And it's something we encourage our creative team and writers. Like, don't program for that. Program for the universe, not for a small portion of the universe who wants to criticize you. That doesn't matter. Move on. Put on a good product. The money will be there. The fans will be there. The results will be there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's exactly the mentality that Elizabeth Corte, Chris Van Etten, Frank Valentini and even Barney to an extent go into General Hospital with.
Yeah. And it's you know, with soaps, it's the attitude they have to have. They cannot turn on a dime with a story. They can't. Too much is attached to it. You know, and it's just not what they can do. You know, I know people, you know, and they have to come up with a story, commit to a story, and play the story out. And that's just how it goes. And I know people don't like that, but them's the breaks. That's how it goes in show business, babies.
Exactly. So it makes me laugh whenever people always use that hashtag, you know, fire Frank or tag Frank Valentini or Nathan Varney or General Hospital in their hate tweets and everything. It's like they're not going to see it because they don't care what you think.
Right. Well, it's just, this is the thing that's so, and I have screamed this from the mountaintop. I mean, I'm afraid of heights, so it's a figurative mountaintop. Let's just be clear about that. But if you are talking about it, they count that as a good thing. You could be saying that you hate it. You could be saying that this story is making you burn Frank in effigy. You're talking about it. You're invested. Yep. You're watching.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Soaps created love to hate.
Yep.
And all they care about is you are watching. And you could say, I'm not watching. But when you complain about beats of a story, whether you've read it in recaps or not, they don't believe you. If you don't like something, shut up about it. Don't talk about it. Because anything you give them is engagement and is counted as a positive. And for the people on Twitter who do that cute, for the little jar for Charlie, instead of writing out Charlie, or the car for Carly, or the sun for Sonny, or whatever, the toothbrush for Britt, the interns know what all of those mean.
The toothbrush for Britt?
Yeah, because you remember when she was all pathetic, complaining that she had bought an extra toothbrush head for Jason before he had dumped her, before he ended it, because he was hoping that she'd stay over.
Oh my God.
Jason owed her $5 for a toothbrush head.
Yes, I remember that.
Never asked her to, so the icon for her is a toothbrush. And that's like a hater name for her. It's really funny. Yes, exactly, Blue. Exactly. The toothbrush. I mean, it was really funny. And this is what cracks me up about people calling for Jay Britt back, because I'm just like, how much more pathetic do you want this girl to look? But okay, we can play this game, but all right.
Wow. Okay. Well,
it is what it is. But yes, and the interns know what all of those mean, especially when you put them in the hashtag. And I love people to go, well, I don't use the name because I don't want their stands in my mentions. All right, then why are you putting it in the GH hashtag so the stands see it?
Right, exactly.
God, I'm sorry. I'm getting off on a rant. I'll get off my soapbox. I'm annoyed.
Yeah, I get it.
So
no, it's the truth. Hi, David. Hi, Goodbye Girl. Hi, Taiwan. Hi, Amber. Welcome in. 90 people currently watching live. So thank you so much. Hit that like button and turn on the subscriptions and the notifications if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, go subscribe to YouTube. Because that's the way we're going to grow. But either way, I do appreciate everyone watching. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and heart it. React to it. Hit that like button. Hit that heart button. Because we want to grow, as always. So we did. I did announce the presenters for the Suds Awards this past week between the soap categories and the wrestling categories. There are a couple of slight changes just because of
what am I presenting? I didn't see those.
You didn't see it. Okay.
I have no idea what I'm presenting.
So, Angela, you are going to be presenting Couple of the Year.
Oh, that's a fun one. Yay.
And
so I get to decide who's Couple of the Year. Just kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke. Go ahead.
So the voting is still open for another 24 hours. It ends on July 1st. So go to suds-media.com/Sudsy voting and check that out. Unfortunately, there is one tie. I've been looking at the results, and there is one tie. I'm not giving you what category. Go there and make sure to vote because there's a tie, and I don't want there to be a tie. So go there and vote suds-media.com/Sudsy voting. Also, I might as well, let everybody know the the presenters now. If you didn't check them out on our Twitter feed at Suds Media, you should be following it. So for the soap opera categories, Hero of the Year will be presented by David, who is in our chat from NGE Soaps.
Oh, hi, David.
Villain of the Year will be presented by Source Ryan, who was on Gay Crashers not too long ago. As I just said, Angela is presenting Couple of the Year. So Feud of the Year was originally going to be me. However, our former co-host Christy has reminded me that she was going to
Did
be
somebody fight you for it, ironically?
Yes. So Christy will be presenting. The Shocking Kiss of the Year will be presented by Candace Mack. The Secret Reveal of the Year will be presented by Matt and Kat from the 10th floor. Family of the Year will be presented by our friend Donald Peebles Jr., who has been on Gate Crashers before. He was also part of our podcast-a-thon back in November. Debut / return.
He's going to be writing for Penny Prado. He's going to be writing for Penny Prado. Oh, okay.
Very nice.
Yes, I'm very excited. Go ahead.
Debut / return of the year will be presented by Shannon and Amanda from Pier 54. Character of the year will be presented by Julie Dove, friend of the show. And recast of the year will be presented by our co-host Kim, as you know from Gate Crashers and Dockside at the Bay, and a Penny Prattle contributor as well. For the wrestling categories, I will be presenting the Babyface of the Year category. The Heel of the Year category will be presented by Michael and Tori from the Kicking Out at 2 podcast. Match of the Year will be presented by Big Mike from the Run-In podcast. Faction of the Year will be presented by Princess Skywalker from the Lowdown. Tag Team of the Year will be presented by a surprise presenter. So Matt from the 10th floor texted me and said that he hasn't been keeping up with wrestling, and Mama Cat doesn't know much about it other than the fact that her kids were into it.
He messaged me and he messaged me, he's like, I have soap opera podcasts. Why did he have me doing wrestling? I was like, I don't know.
So there's going to be a surprise presenter for 10th floor for the Tag Team of the Year category. If not, it might just be me. Superstar of the Year and Return / Newcomer of the Year will be presented by John from Chairshot Sports. Storyline of the Year will be presented by our friend of the show, who runs the I'm in the wrong spot here. Michael Norton, who is at Mob Squad 508. Let's see. Shock of the Year will be Candace Mack, who gets both shock categories, wrestling and soap operas, this year. And Rising Star of the Year will be the newest member of the Chairshot Media Group, Danielle, who has not actually put anything out yet, but will be starting a Chairshot After Dark podcast, or Dark Until Dawn, or something like that. So definitely check it out. As far as there's actually a sock puppet wrestling fan on Twitter, who's actually been in one of my spaces before. So don't laugh. So those are the presenters of the awards for the Sudsies this year. All right. Now getting on to why we're here. We are here to talk all about General Hospital.
And there is so much.
There really is. Where should we start? Why don't we get started with the fact of getting ready for the christening? The christening is going to happen this week. And there's an uninvited guest that crashes. Now, was that Natalia from Friday, or is there going to be another one?
Natalia. I think it's Natalia, but I mean, it's possible it's somebody else, but I think it's Natalia.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, that was technically Friday, but they've done that before.
Yeah. And I honestly feel like Natalia is delusional if she actually thought Sonny was going to go to the island with her, or Belize, or wherever she's going.
And well, the thing is that I kind of feel, and I know that it wasn't overt, but I kind of feel like Sonny was not outwardly saying that, but kind of leading her on a little bit with it. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Because he was being real sweet to her. You know what I mean? And I think that, but can I just say, Eva LaRue is knocking it out of the park with playing a woman who is unraveling. She is absolutely unraveling, and she is playing it. There are subtle things. There are obvious. She is, chef's kiss, no notes. My God, that woman is a great soap actress. She just is. I'm loving it.
The way
and I know she dies. I know this is ending badly for her, but so good.
The way that she had her conversation with Brooklyn, at her apartment or hotel room or whatever it was, drink in hand, just going over everything, coming clean about different things. You can tell that she's trying to get everything out there right before she takes off out of sight.
And the thing is too is that she wasn't an incredibly consequential long-term character, but the way they've set things up, her death is gonna have repercussions.
Yes.
There's probably, I'm not sure that her death is actually a murder, but I think it might look like one. I'm not sure she's getting murdered. I know she's dying. I'm not sure she's getting murdered, but I'm also not sure that it's not going to look like she was, because it could be an accident that looks like she was murdered, or they could suspect she was because of who Sonny is and because of who Sidwell is. But it's going to have fallout for Marco and Lucas, because Marco's going to be upset that he didn't call the police and have his mother arrested, because he's going to blame himself. And in a way, he's going to blame Lucas. There's going to be fallout there. If Marco thinks that, I'm just saying, I don't know that it's not going to look like she did Donna. I know that she's not getting murdered. I'm saying that I know that she's not, I don't know that it's not going to look like she didn't get murdered, though. You know what I'm saying? It could look that way. It's going to have fallout for Marco and Sidwell. It's going to have fallout. If Sonny thinks Sidwell did it and Sidwell thinks Sonny did it, that's going to ramp up things between them.
Yep.
There is a lot here. A lot.
Yeah, there really is.
And that's what you want. You know what I mean? Like Sam's death had a lot of fallout across the canvas and still does. And that's what you want.
Yes.
You don't want to just, this character, you're just killing them off and that's it. In a way, I almost feel like Peter's death was like that.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It seemed like they could have gotten more out of Peter's death than they did.
They could have, yes.
No, but it is what it is. They're not going to do it with everybody. But I think
they're even still bringing up Sam's death and with Elizabeth and Christina, Elizabeth and Alexis, and just the way that they're still weaving it in, and Elizabeth is not going to the cops because of part of that family losing Sam. So John Talks Everything podcast has a question about any update if
she has filmed the last scene. She's gone. I can also report that Tristan Rogers came back to I believe that's the facilitator exits. It's only for like one episode, possibly two if they did them in the same day. He's very frail. He's very old. And he'll be the first to tell you, he had many years of hard living. He was quite the boozer. The stories that, I interviewed him, and almost every story was around, they were all crazy drunk. And we've all heard the stories of all the drugs and stuff on GH2. So he's already, he's up there in age, and it was he was hard on his body. Shh. Okay, hold on. I'm doing my podcast, so give me a minute.
As far as Holly was not with him.
Right. So, but he is, Holly is not with him. Sasha is definitely leaving. She's done filming. She's finished.
Now, is
However,
this for good or is it just a break?
it's not technically a break. They did not renew her contract.
Oh, wow.
But they left the door open for her to come back. We talked about it in our Zoom. There's some personal behind the scenes things that I'm not going to get into on a podcast, but that we talk about smaller setting. But the door is left open. She's leaving. She's taking Daisy with her. I'll be surprised if we see her back in a year or so.
Okay. Well, let's hope so, because I really like the character of Sasha. It does suck. It does suck, Jeannie. I agree with you.
I agree. I love her chemistry with Rory. I was so looking forward to that story.
Yeah, me too.
And I am hearing that there's a chance that they're bringing in a brand new love interest for Michael.
Yep.
And I hope that that's true, because I do not want them to slap him back with Willow. And yes, I had said that there's a real life reason, but we're not going to talk about stuff like that on the podcast. So just because we don't want to,
Yeah. All right. So I do want to read something here. We got a comment on one of our previous episodes, not last week's, the week before.
Mm-hmm.
By Jennifer792. So if you're watching, thank you so much for posting a comment, and some we're going to talk about on the air. I want to read this. This podcast is not very pro classic 80s GH. You don't care about what Guza did to Tony, which I believe is
Brad
Tony
Mull,
Jones.
Yeah, Tony Jones.
Yeah. Did to Tony, and what about every other 80s vet that he or Rich wrote off the show, and there were a lot of them. You said the tango doesn't belong to just Duke and Anna. Emma is bad, Josh is good, thumbs down. Without Monty's GH, the show would be nothing. I understand you have your likes, but why be OTT? I don't know what that means. There is an entire context of the show that's missing from your podcast. I did reply. I'd like for you to
your reply. I'm going to have mine, but go ahead.
So I did reply. I said, I'd like for you to elaborate on why you feel that way. We do celebrate the history of the show, as we have an entire segment dedicated to today in GH history. Not one time did we say that Emma was bad at all. What did Guza do to Tony, and which Tony are you talking about? Tony Geary or Tony Jones? As far as the tango goes, well, it's a dance. Duke is currently dead, so I have no problem with Anna having a different partner. She did reply, your podcast is completely looking at the Dalton story from Joss's point of view, but that's not what the show is doing, and Emma and Gio have a decent amount of interest. You discussed Tony Jones in 96 was the beginning of the end for him, as it was for almost all of the 80s vets under Rich Guza Phelps. The show was completely co-opted by the Sopranos agenda. Even the show had a problem with Anna dancing a tango with someone else besides Duke because it was interrupted by Gio. I wasn't concerned. I knew if Frank Valentini was going to do something with the tango, it would be to further Duke and Anna's story. They are adding to and rebuilding the long-neglected 80s core families, and lapsed 80s fans are the ones who would be interested in returning to the show to witness it. I said, thank you for your feedback. We'll talk about it. So I would like to have you respond and your thoughts on that.
Okay, so my first response is similar to yours. We absolutely do talk about the history of the show. See, the thing about this show, though, is about what's currently happening on the show.
Yeah.
We don't talk about old storylines. We'll talk about history things, but this isn't like Days for Dummies. This isn't the GH History Show. I would happily do that podcast or guest on that podcast, but that's not what this podcast is. And, I think Guza was bad to a lot of the vets. I think that what the show did to Anna Lee was disgusting. I think what the show did to Stuart Damon was disgusting. As far as Tony goes, the thing about soaps is that how it's supposed to work is that the older characters go more towards the background and become more supporting.
Yep.
And the newer ones come forward. The problem has been that they haven't had the current cast of older ones really go back, as supporting, although I think that they're going that way. Because Jason's on the same amount, Carly's on the same amount, but Sonny has been on less all year. He's like number 4 in the episode count, which hasn't happened for decades. I mean, the Nixon Falls year, but that was an outlier. But he, and even that year, I think he ended up number 3 or something.
And wasn't that a contract year for him?
I think so, possibly. But they're on as much, but they are both in more supporting roles. Neither of them are leading story.
Right.
You know what I mean? They are making them more supporting roles, but they're kind of like anchors while they give more focus to the youngers, most of whom are connected to them in some way.
Yep.
And that's how it's supposed to work. The problem is that it hasn't worked for that way in a long time, so they have a lot of time to make up for. But they are definitely doing much better with the show. I mean, I understand what people had issues with them making Tony the bad guy and whatever. But the thing is that good guy soap opera characters are boring.
Yeah.
And it gave him story. It gave him story. And the thing is too, is that when they didn't, Guza absolutely made it all mob hospital. Way too much. And I say that as a Jarly. I say that as a Carly fan. Jason fan, yes, but mostly just Carly and then Jarly. That's my use for Jason. Guza absolutely made it mob hospital. But I have been cheering on. I've been calling for them to get the mob back. Away. And I'm thrilled about the WSB, the PCP, and all of that stuff coming back. And I shout that from the rooftops too. I say that all the time. But the thing is, though, is that they didn't really have anything for Tony. So they gave him story. And I know that people, he was made to be the bad guy for Carly and da-da-da. That's not how it works. This is soaps. I mean, pretty much every leading man out there has been a bad guy.
Yeah.
At one time or another. I mean, Victor Newman is a freaking asshole. You know what I mean? But the good guys usually are not leads, and there's just not as much story they can do for them. I think they got rid of Alan Quartermain way too early.
Yep.
But it's just not everything's going to be a correct choice. But you also can't judge an entire. I mean, Guza did some really amazing things too. He brought us some of the best sweeps any soap has ever seen. You can't say that it was all bad because it wasn't. And as far as the tango thing, I understand that the tango was big for Anna and Duke, but he is also dead, and he is not the only person that she tangoed with. Anna tangoed with Griffin.
Yeah.
And I also said that I understood the Anna and Duke fans being upset, but I wasn't upset. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I think that there's also a way that it could be done, that it could be in honor of Duke. You know what I mean? They could have done it a million ways. They ended up not doing it, and that was fine too. I don't care. But another thing is, I've seen a lot of soap couple fans claim things throughout the years. I've seen, forehead touching, forehead kissing, brushing hair behind. Like, stop it.
That's just intimacy in general.
But you know what I'm saying is that, or he only danced with her, or like Jax was saying, he only played pool with her. Jarly fans don't do that crap. They know that pool is not just Jason and Carly's thing. They get that. But, And every couple has things that are, important to their couple, but general things you just don't own. You don't own rain kisses. You don't own any soap trope. You just don't. And you may think that your couple was the first to do it. They weren't. They weren't. This show has been on over 60 years. Guiding Light started out as a radio show. There are soaps that were on and off before most viewers were even alive. Knock it off. Enjoy your couple. Why is it that you can't enjoy your couple if something is being done with another couple that your couple did? How does that take away from your enjoyment of your couple? I don't get it. This goes right along with my thing of people needing, their ship or their fave to be the most popular. Why? Why can you only like something that the majority? I do not give a shit who likes or hates Carly. I like Carly. That's what guides my opinion. And I don't understand why people think that when they say, oh, Charlie has no fans. Well, one, it's not true. Everybody and everything on soaps have fans. But two, I don't need a mob to like what I like to validate my liking of them.
Yeah.
And exactly. If you do, you're doing it wrong. And love yourself and your own opinion a little bit more. And I'm sorry that she doesn't enjoy our show. I'm sorry. I mean, if she would like to make suggestions of things she would like us to cover, I'm open to hearing any suggestions. But at the same time, this show is about what's currently happening on GH. We do have a history section, but also I've been watching this show from the 80s. Don't tell me I don't know about the vets. I have, I'm 51, and I'm like, just because I don't agree with you on something doesn't mean that I don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm stupid. It's I disagree with you. Just I'm sure people disagree with me. And that's fine.
Yeah.
So, sorry. It is what it is, but that's my position on it. And if she wants to give some suggestions, I am more than happy. And hey, we're looking for writers for Petty Prattle. If you want to do history or soap opera op-eds, reach out. DMs are open. We are taking it all. So come on down, sweetie. And I mean that. That wasn't sarcastic.
Yeah, perfect. No, thank you for that. I agree. I mean, you were able to kind of put a little bit more into it, but we do look at the history of the show. But again, the show is about current events and currently what's going on in Port Charles. And again, it also comes from our viewpoint. So we're looking at, I brought this up. I was on a soap podcast host roundtable last Tuesday night, I think it was, with on JLJ Media, and I did let him know that I still watch it as a fan. Like, yes, I know more about the stuff behind the scenes now from being on the show with Angela, from getting the the stuff from PR and everything, and I know stuff about it, but I still watch the show as a fan because I enjoy what I like. What I like, I like to put it out there what I like, and I have my point of view. Excuse me, but that has nothing to do with what the show is trying to convey. I'm reacting to it as I see it. Now, is the show trying to put out there that the Dalton story is from Emma's point of view? I think it's mixed between Emma and Josh and what could potentially go on between Emma and Josh.
Wait.
But it's not that they're showing the Dalton thing because
that Emma was bad.
Right. Never. I think unfortunately what happens is what happened is GH has introduced two kid characters who were sourced back into the show with a lens of being troublemakers, because they did it with Emma, and they did it with Cam beforehand. I think that when the person that responded said that, Emma bad, Joss good,
right?
We never said that. Emma has come into her own, and now we see more of the Emma character and why she is the way she is.
And I like Emma and Gio. My issues with Emma is the bullshit she spouts about Joss using her daddy's money to get her out of trouble. One, Joss doesn't get into trouble, and she's never used her daddy's money for anything like that. And that's just a bullshit take. And I understand there are a lot of people who were real upset about Joss taking Emma's position. But the thing is that Emma wasn't, before we found out that Emma was just going for that position to try to take Dalton down, I felt worse for Emma. But Joss isn't just doing it because she wants the job. She's doing it because she's being told by her bosses it's an issue of global national security.
Yeah.
This is a life or death thing. And, say what you want. Joss is considered a trained WSB agent. Emma is not. So if somebody should be trying to take Dalton down, it's Joss.
Yeah.
And I also love the people who are like, well, it should be Emma who's the WSB agent, not Joss. Why? Because Emma's grandparents were WSB agents? She wasn't raised around them. She spent most of her life in California with occasional visits to and from her grandparents. Joss was raised more around guns and intrigue and yada, yada, and yada than Emma was. So I also consider that also just a bullshit take. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. I just don't see the backing up of them. I also like Gio and Emma. I think they're a great little couple, and I really like them. And I would love Emma to become a WSB agent and her and Joss to be partners. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But I think her takes on Joss are crap.
But doesn't it also lend to predictability if they have somebody, a child or grandchild automatically go into the same field as their parents or grandparents? It lends too much to predictability. Now, the one thing I will say, when they did the special episode around Sean Donnelly and his daughter being part of the WSB or getting into WSB, that was a one-off. Mm-hmm. That made total sense. But when it comes to a contracted character we see every day, why are we going to have Emma as an automatic WSB agent just because she comes from the lineage of the Scorpios? I think having Joss there, I think having Joss there, who has had numerous different career paths that she thought about since she got into college, having now to be forced to be WSB because of her choices and the consequences of her choices makes a much better story.
Hi, wifey. Exactly. And, the Jax family were very, adventurous and physical and mountain climbing and parasailing and jumping out of airplanes. You know what I mean? Jax did this, and Joss grew up doing that stuff with her father. You know what I mean? Yeah. So she has that background as well. So, the whole, and Jerry, exactly. I want Jerry to come back so much. I would kill for Jerry to come back. I don't want Jax back, but I want Jerry back.
Absolutely.
And honestly, but I look at those takes, and I may be wrong about this, but I look at those takes, and to me, it's just more bashing on anything Carly adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it just doesn't have anything to back it up. God, Kaiwan, we would kill for them to make Jocelyn Jason's. We've already, we have a million scenarios that it could be true. My only thing, I have no problem with them making one of them Jason's. I just needed to have been a drunken night with Carly and Jason that neither of them remember, because in a million years she would not have kept a child from him, and he wouldn't, he'd know, that it at least had a conversation. Oh, they do hate all of Carly's kids, and it's killing some of them that Michael's not hated. And I don't know if everybody saw, but Stephen Bradford had Rory on.
Yes. Yep.
Their podcast. It's on their Patreon right now because it doesn't go on YouTube for like a week, but it's on their free Patreon.
It's also on the podcast app too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
If you subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
And there are going to be some real pissed off people.
Yep.
Did you listen to it?
I did, yes.
So you heard the part where Rory was saying that his good friend Jeannie was a lifelong GH fan, and she was helping him with the backstories, and she told him, because he was like, okay, so Jason's my uncle, and she's like, he's not your uncle, he's really your dad. And he said that was really helpful because that's how he's been playing their scenes, and that's obvious to me. He's been playing it like he has a much deeper connection to Jason than to Sonny, which to me makes sense. And Steve went, that's awesome, thank you, Jeannie. So he is all over Jason being Michael's daddy. So haters, sucks to suck. Sorry, I just had to get that in there because I have been given so much shit.
Hi, Coretta. Welcome to the chat. She does post a comment in the chat. The role of a WSB just doesn't fit Joss. Nothing against Ina McCoy. She's a good actress. She's not selling it to me. I need it. So here's the thing. I feel like Joss is selling it good because she's being forced to be a WSB agent. She's not somebody who wanted that position. Have you ever been put in a position where you have to do something whether you want to? I
think she's doing great with it.
I think so too.
Because the thing is that, she kind of felt pushed into it, but she went in whole hog, and, they tried to get her to quit and she didn't. And she committed herself to it, and she is 100% committed to it. And we don't see her off going out, blowing it off, and not caring about it. She is committed to this, and she believes in what she's doing. She's selling it to me 110%. And they're not going to go in another direction with her. This Eden McCoy at her last contract negotiation wanted a action story for Joss, and this is what they gave her. They're not going to take it away from her. Joss is a WSB agent. You're just going to have to cotton to that. So, they're not going to go in another direction with her. This is going to be it. I mean, I'm not saying that they'll never do anything else, but this WSB is not going away for a long time, and Joss is going to be part of it for a long time, because this is what Eden asked. She asked for an adventure. She wanted Joss doing something action and adventure. This is what they gave her. They're not going to take it away. I agree. I think that Joss is going to have to save Emma as well, and that's what'll change Emma's mind about her.
Yeah.
Emma's going to run in and do something stupid.
And not to mention the fact of Joss being in the WSB, and Jeannie kind of beat me to it, when Carly finds out and Jack's role in it, and what precipitated her going into the WSB, it's going to be great.
And it's so funny because Chris McKenna says that Laura Wright says all the time, oh God, I'm going to kill, Carly's going to kill you. She's going to kill you. And that's the thing, is that all of her rage and anger is going to be at Jack. She's not going to love Joss doing it, but when Joss tells her, this is what I want to do, I'm not giving it up, Carly is going to be mama bear and supportive 100%. But that's, Jack is a whole different story. Yeah. Especially if she finds out about him framing Jason.
That's going to be...
Okay, Eden didn't tell them she wanted the WSB. Eden told them she wanted an action story. She wanted to Joss doing something action-y, adventure-y kind of thing. They came up with the WSB. And I think it's an amazing, I think it's a great story for her. I do.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it helps that it's not somebody who's typically part of that world, because
of course they want somebody that's not suspectable or that wouldn't be suspected.
Well, no, exactly. But I mean, because they've had Luke and Laura with their adventures, then it went on to Lucky, and and Lulu had her stuff as well. But having Joss now makes it so much better.
I mean, you look at Laura.
Yep.
She was a privileged little white girl when she became the person who saved the world with Luke. And she was when she hooked up with Luke, she was younger than Joss is. And I mean, Anna went into the WSB at 19 or like 18 because her and Robert got married. They met when she was in training. He was one of her trainers, and they got married, I think, when she was 19. So she was already in the WSB and done with her training when she married Robert at 19.
Wow, I didn't know
and
that.
Anna grew up, with money and privilege in England. So, I mean, for them to say that this isn't, knock it off.
Yeah.
That's not the history of this show. Women have been saving the world, even delicate ones, for a long time on General Hospital.
Yes.
So,
speaking of a woman who's showing her stripes, you got to move on to Elizabeth. I have to say, I have such a renewed interest in Elizabeth with her edgier self recently, and going at Christina, going at Alexis, finding out that Rick is, jumping at the chance now that he knows Lucky's out of the, out of the country. I am really enjoying the new. I am really enjoying the new direction for Elizabeth right now. Is it temporary though? That's the biggest question.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's she's always, I am woman, hear me roar. But the thing is that she's probably going to get back together with Rick. And I get that she doesn't know that Rick is blackmailing Alexis, but she does know Rick almost killed her twice. She does know Rick chained Carly in a panic room and was going to take her baby and give it to Elizabeth. She does know Rick was feeding her birth control. You know what I mean? She knows all these things about Rick. So, and the mere fact that she even still acknowledges him is, and believe me, I know. I say the same thing about Carly when it comes to Sonny.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. I mean, and you have to ask yourself when it comes to Elizabeth, is the Rick that good that she keeps going back to him?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't pick him out of bed for eating crackers. I mean, he is a fine silver fox, but, and yes, I liked Rick. I did. But, the fact is, the man tried to kill her, almost killed her twice. One of the times he tried to smother her with a pillow. And here, as a Liz hater, I'm like, put them back together. He's got to get it right one of these times. Third time's a charm. Let's do this. But I know that's not what the Rick shippers, they see it different. I saw a comment up here. Aisha said it wasn't a secret that Frisco and Dante were working for the WSB. Can Joss spill the secret and stay an agent? I think that eventually it's going to come out, but right now she's undercover. So it can't come out right now because they need her undercover in this, so I don't think it'll come out right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like Ava and Rick together. I feel like the scheming is great. And I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter because they're using this new dragonberry juice as a plot point because just to make it was just for them so that Ava knew that Rick's kissing. Yeah, that Rick's sniffing around Elizabeth. Yeah. So I just wish it was more, like them using that dragonberry, Rick is trying to poison people using the Dragonberry stuff, or you know, not blackmail, brainwash people using the Dragonberry stuff and all that stuff. I wish there was something more to it, but I know it was just that one plot point.
Right. It was just a plot point. But see, my thing is, I like Ava and Rick too. One, Rick Hurst has chemistry with, he has chemistry with the elevators and the nurses. He has chemistry with inanimate. He is a chemistry magnet. And so is Maura West. And I love their chemistry. But with me, the thing is exactly why it is that I can't ship anybody but Carly with Jason. Liz is always going to come first for Rick. Always. Yeah. So I like Ava. I'm fine with her using him for some friends with benefits, but I don't want her falling for him when he's going to throw her over for Liz the first chance he gets, and he will. He will.
I'm just waiting for Rick to ask Liz if she wants to ride Space Mountain. That's just, that's what I'm waiting for.
I'm intrigued with Ava and Cody too. I agree Ava shouldn't take a backseat to Liz. I mean, I don't understand. And this is not a bash on Becky, but, Liz is a boring nurse, mom, whatever. I'm pretty sure she drives a station wagon or a minivan. Ava is fun and a little bad and mysterious. And you know what I mean? And a little crazy. And the crazy ones are better in bed. I'm just saying. So absolutely she shouldn't, but it's just like it's just for Rick, it's just like with Jason for Carly. Sure, he should love the woman and want the woman he's with more, and they should be the most important, but it's just not going to happen. So why set someone you like up for that?
Because and not to mention Rick and Ava are using each other. For whether it's for money, for blackmail purposes, for whatever, they're using each other. They're not a true relationship in the general.
But I think Ava's catching feelings.
Agreed.
Is the thing. I think Ava's catching feelings because Rick was like her port in the storm. When everything was going wrong, he had her back, he helped her, and you know what I mean? And I think that she's catching feelings. Yeah. And so that's why, I'd prefer they just keep it on a different level. But hey, maybe Ava will kill Liz. Hope springs eternal.
Yes. So the rumblings are that there could be a recast of Lucky. Now, I guess Jonathan Jackson said, I respect the show if they want to recast. Are we going to see a recast of Lucky?
I think there's a good chance because from what I heard, the whole reason that they had him go off with Aiden was to leave the door open easier for a recast because it would make sense that Lucky spends all that time with his son and says, you know what? This whole not being there with him every day thing is not what I want. I want to go back to Port Charles. I want to be in my son's life every day. I want that. So it's a perfect segue. However, there is not currently a recast. There has been no recast shooting, and they are dark until August. They are off for the entire month of July. So we will not get info from our set sources until August, more than likely, because that's when they get info when they go back to work.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
Because the entire studio's dark. It's not like other people keep working. The entire studio's dark. I mean, I can get in touch with PR, maybe, but that's pretty much it. Nobody else is in right now. That's one of the ways Frank saves money is, the crew is off. Everybody's, the writers are out. I mean, Corte's probably writing because they had to rewrite all kinds of shit last July. So I'm sure the head writers and writers are probably still working because most of them aren't in the studio anyway. The only one who's in the studio every day is Corte. But Chris lives in New York. But the actors are all off for the full month. We're not going to get any. They're not getting scripts. Yeah, I mean, the press site will put out pics, but again, that's the PR office that does that too. So,
yeah,
and it's,
but they are dark.
they are already all set up, because
yeah, so they're a good 8 weeks ahead or at this point or something to that effect.
When they finished taping for July, because they were done the 27th, when they finished, they were through all of August. And may have dabbled in a little bit of September, but I know they finished through August because when they get back, they'll only be 4 weeks ahead.
Well, at least they're not. I mean, at least they're not as bad as Days of Our Lives, who's I think at this point 10 months ahead of time.
10 months, 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's
a long time. I don't have a problem with it, and I think that it also makes it easier for spoilers not to leak because things are so far ahead.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people are like, but they can't change a story that's not working. They don't do it anyway. Stop it.
They wouldn't change, right?
They're not changing a story that's not. What? Peter was here longer than his contract. Shut up. Sorry, there have been the stupidest takes on GH Soap Twitter. Somebody the other day, there was a whole thread. How is Daisy a Spencer? What is Carly talking about? You mean Carly Spencer talking about her granddaughter? The answer is in your question, dumbass. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm in a little bit of a mood. Angela's a little tired. I'm tired of the bullshit and I'm tired. So
that's going to lead us into our What the Fudge moment of the week. Which I didn't do last week, but it's kind of, I mean, you kind of brought it up and you gotta, honestly, at this point, we're going to go the internet, the What the Fudge moment of the week. It's just the internet and the stupid takes on the internet. And we've been seeing them all over the place. We talked about it earlier. This show is basically dedicated to the stupidity of soap Twitter. But just the idea that somebody can't see that Daisy is a Spencer because, well, she is. But just all of these asinine remarks that the people just pull out of their ass, and I'm sorry, I saw it in the comments earlier.
I mean, I will say we get a giggle out of a lot of them in our group chats. So thank you for giving us stuff to laugh at, ridiculousness. But go ahead, sorry.
I saw it in the chat earlier, and I was about to say it. Where is it? I think it was. Oh yeah, Goodbye Girl. You said I enjoyed Drillo. I'm enjoying Drew as a bad guy, as a heel. I am loving it. And there are so many people calling for his death, calling for, it's going to be a who killed Drew or who shot Drew or whatever. I don't want him going anywhere. I am enjoying Drew for the character that he is. He's somebody that you love to hate. Because he's gaslighting Willow, he's manipulating Willow, all of this stuff, proposing to her. She came out and said, you're the reason I lost my kids. He's like, yeah, but if we get married, it'll show we're bonded and this and that. And it's like, dude, give it a break. But I am enjoying the character of Drew right now.
I am too. And I think Cameron Matheson is playing the absolute hell out of it. And I will defend him because he is playing, and I know he gets a lot of shit for things that he says in interviews, but here's the thing. Cameron Matheson sells the story they tell him to sell. They told him to sell Brillo as a super couple love story, so that's what he did. And now he's selling what, you know what I mean? That's the thing. He flat out said, I went to the writers and this is what they told me. So why are people giving him shit? Knock it off. That man is doing his job. And say what you want. Say what you want about Drew. Say what you want about Cameron Matheson. But he does not burn out.
No.
He commits to his story. Whether, we don't know if he likes or hates his story. Same with Laura Wright, because they play what is given to them, period, end of story, and do not ever give less than 100% of what they have to everything on that show. And that's all we can ask from our actors. They are not the writers.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And Anya points out, so Twitter, that's why Frank doesn't listen to us. We talked about it for a whole segment in the beginning of the show. And that's what it boils down to.
Frank shouldn't listen to us. And I'm going to, I want him to not listen to me either if it means he's not listening to the rest of them. Because, my God, as a group, GH Soap Twitter should not be listened to.
Right.
As a whole.
Yep.
As a whole.
Donna, you're right. Drew was boring because he was a nice guy. Once he got honestly, the turning point for Drew was when Jason came home. When Jason came back,
it was before that.
That was the turning point.
It was before that. He was different when he came out of prison. He wanted the revenge against Nina. You know what I mean? And it was building there. And I have a feeling, and this is just my spec, this is not a spoiler, but I have a feeling that they're either going to do PTSD with Drew, or they are going to do some weird mind mapping thing that he was an experiment that Dalton and Dr. O did. Because from what I heard, Kelly Tebow is not Brit, but she's also not a clone, which to me says mind mapping.
Mind mapping, face swapping.
The same with Ryan Peavy. I've heard that he's not Nathan, but he's not the clone. They're also John Talks Everything podcast. The show is not killing off Drew. They were planning on killing off Drew. They had planned to do it for, I think, May sweeps. They changed their mind after Cameron Matheson lost his house. The executive producers and the writers said, we are absolutely not doing this to this world's sweetest man. Well, he's not losing his house, his wife, and his job. Yeah. And everybody who says that Frank is a heartless bastard can kiss my ass. Well, and they're not killing him off. And I know that, but it's different. It's not that far away from it. They are not killing Drew off. They're not teasing a whodunit. If you think they might feel that they're teasing a whodunit, but they're not killing Drew. He's not leaving. He's not dying. He's not. They could do a who shot JR type thing with him.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be dead. I don't think he's going to be presumed dead. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. And I don't even know if they're going to have him shot. They're killing off Natalia, and I have a feeling that that's going to resemble some sort of whodunit.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that Drew's going to end up involved in this whole Dr. O. Dalton thing.
That would be great. But that was your What the Fudge moment of the week, brought to you by What the Fudge Homemade Confections. Baked in a cottage kitchen in New Haven, Connecticut. If you're in the New Haven, Connecticut area or traveling through, go to whatthefudgect.com or facebook.com/whatthefudgect. Check out the current flavors, put it in order. And let me tell you something. She just debuted her brand new salted caramel fudge. It is fantastic. I was told that it's the best flavor yet. So
I am actually going to be in that area next weekend or early next week.
Okay.
Because I have to go down to Hartford.
Oh, okay. So you'll be right in my backyard.
Yeah, I think I need some. Oh, this is so horrible. Because I'm like, oh God. You guys are
check it out.
Not let me lose weight.
So check it out, whatthefudgect.com, facebook.com/whatthefudgect. She can't ship yet, but if you're traveling through the New Haven, Connecticut area, definitely check it out. All right. So Frank does care about his staff. Anya, I completely agree. And Anya, we're not supposed to like what Drew is doing. And you know what? I got to tell you, the fact of the scene that we saw with Kai, going to Drew and kind of turning his back on Curtis and Portia and Trina. Ooh, I like it. I have to say, I like it.
It's good soap. Come
Yes.
on, people. It's good soap. You know, I mean, we're not watching a Hallmark movie. We need mess, and it's so fun. You know, and
Donna, after what he said in front of Wiley, I wanted to slap him.
And I know that this wasn't this past week, but I missed it. But the Jason and Drew scenes,
yes,
where he was trying to get, Jason to give Michael a mess, and the whole, quote me, and Jason's like, "You will never get Michael's children." Quote.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh my God, I love it." Yep. And Steve does not care that he is looking up at somebody who's got like a head on him. He is still going to be a tough guy.
And Taiwan, you're right. I don't believe that Kai would have any loyalty to Curtis. But I feel like his relationship with Trina, is what had him kind of on that side. But you know what? Kai has to do what he feels is right for him. And if he thinks that Drew is going to give him the job in Washington, he's interning for him, he's paying his salary, whatever the case may be, he paid for his surgery, he's got more of a loyalty to Drew than anything. Sometimes you have to keep your personal life away from your business life. I get that. But this time, he's got to be right smack in the middle.
And here's my thing. If Trina's going to step to Kai, or if she goes, bitching about it, I'm not saying that Trina does not have a right to feel what she's going to feel about it, but I would like her to have the conversation with Joss. So Josh can point out to her, you and I have been friends since junior high. And then you decided to go into art, and you got close to Ava after Ava was responsible, at least partly, for my brother's death. And we have been best friends. And I have had to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yep. Kai's relationship with Trina and Kai's relationship with Drew are almost at the same starting point. There wasn't a whole hell of a lot of time between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, but Trina had been BFFs with Joss for years.
Yeah.
And still made, and had no relationship with Ava until they were older. And Ava had already done what she did to Morgan. And Trina not only went to work for Ava, but made her a mother figure. And when Joss had first tried to call her on it, when it was first, Trina like dressed her down. Not all of us have a trust fund and a daddy. Girl, your mother's a doctor. Knock it off. Your father at the time was a federal agent. You did not grow up poor. Stop it. So I say the same thing to Emma, by the way. Your parents are both very, very wealthy doctors. It's not like you grew up eating government cheese on food stamps. Exactly. Talking about her throwing. Hallmark movies are great, but watch them on Hallmark. Don't watch GH or a Hallmark movie. I want my soap, damn it.
Yeah, and not all soaps have happy endings like Hallmark movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so hopefully soaps don't have endings in general. Soap stories, I meant. But that's what I meant. Anyways, we're going to hop into our DeLorean because we're getting ready for our history lesson as we go.
We're sending you back to the future.
We are sending you back to today in General Hospital history as I turn it over to Professor Angela.
And since I wasn't here last week, you guys are getting a double dose, but I'll keep some of them shorter. So I'm going back to June 17th, 1985. Holly was shocked and devastated when Robert told her the truth about his past relationship with Anne. In 2004, Elizabeth came back to town with her baby son, Cameron, because Becky Hurst had been out on maternity leave, having her actual baby. 2019, Cynthia Watros stepped into the role of Nina Reeves. June 18th, 1996, Robin was shocked to learn that Brenda had gotten married to Jax. And in 2021, Chase and Willow got married in that really weird hospital wedding where for some reason Michael had to put a ring on.
Yeah.
Right. What? That seemed a little OTT to me, but okay, whatever. It's so.
Wait a minute. What does OTT mean?
Over the top.
Okay. Over the top. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
June 19th, 1978, Jane Elliott debuted as Tracy Quartermain. One of the best characters of all time.
Yep.
June 20th, Mary Beth Evans, who had been Kayla on Days of Our Lives, came over, and she debuted as Catherine Bell, who, Cody thought, And June 21st, 1991, Scott met Dominique, Cody's actual birth mother.
Mm-hmm.
June 22nd, 1981, Luke was given a truth serum to force him to reveal what he knew about the Ice Princess. In 1999, this is one of the Jarly fans' favorite scenes because he was just so sad and it was a little weird. Jason went to check on Carly after the nurse's ball because she had been humiliated because Bobby's sex tape had accidentally been played. And she was married to AJ at the time, and he snuck onto her balcony to go into her room, and before he opened the door, he realized she was in bed having sex with her husband, AJ. AJ had beat him to it in the comforting her, and Jason stood there a little bit like a creeper for a few minutes and watched them with a very sad look on his face before walking away dejected. In 2009, Dominic Zampranga debuted as Dominic Pirelli, later revealed to be Dante Falconeri. After, you shot your son!
Yeah.
2016, Franco and Elizabeth kissed for the first time. June 23rd, 1986, Frisco and Felicia got married. Very big wedding. Same day, 1989, Felicia fainted after seeing Frisco back from the dead. June 24th, 1991, Tony and Bobby made love for the first time. And same day, 1996, Sonny and Brenda had their first kiss. June 25th, 1990, Robert told Frisco that the mysterious P.K. Sinclair was actually Cesar Faison.
Then became Peter August.
Yes. 6/26, Stone told Luke that he had AIDS. Very touching scenes. And Carly, in 2002, realized that Alexis was pregnant with Christina, pregnant by Sonny. June 27th, 1990.
That was in 2002?
Yep.
So Christina should only be 23 years old, and she's in her 30s.
Michael was born in 1998 or 1997.
Yeah.
So
sense.
He should be, Jake is supposed to be older than Joss.
That's true.
Yeah, so 1997, Sonny and Jason helped Brenda escape after she was arrested for Dorman's murder. In 2002, Chris Robinson returned as Dr. Rick Webber after a 16-year absence, and they completely destroyed him. This was also the day that Michael asked Nell to marry him. I forgot to put what year that was, but whatever. In 2007, Jerry showed up at Carly's house, and he was a very, very bad guy, but he was so deliciously fun.
Sebastian Roach, I wish he would come back.
Oh, God. So much.
Yeah.
June 28th, 1991. On Robert and Anna's wedding day, Robert punched Faison, and Dominique pulled a gun on the wedding guests. Never been a happy wedding in this damn town. 1996, Stephen Nichols, also Days of Our Lives, Patch, as in Patch and Kayla, debuted as Stefan Cassadine, and he was so great. But only his hand was shown in this episode, with the cast down. 2002, Miss Pregnant Alexis walked in on Sonny and Carly's vow renewal. In 2018, Sam agreed to help Jason free Carly and expose Nell. June 29th, 1992, Karen was horrified when Rhonda showed up drunk and uninvited at the Quartermains. Pretty sure that was her mom. 2001, Scotty and Laura had a field trip to Hollywood and they reenacted scenes from famous movies. In 2004, American Idol's Randy Jackson guest starred as himself. And also in 2004, Ned and Brooklyn sang a duet of his song, The Only One I Love. And that was now in General Hospital history.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Professor Angela. I truly appreciate that. And honestly, that's why we go through the history of General Hospital, because, we like to pay homage to what came before. I mean, sometimes things don't, sometimes things don't go well. Sometimes they're viewed in different lenses based on the person, watching. But that's how it evokes emotion.
Well, it's funny to me. Like, I hear, there are so many historians that, give me shit, about what happened to poor Tony, what Carly did to poor Bobby, what Carly did to poor AJ. And Carly needs her karma, or this is Carly's karma. And I say to them, have you ever considered that maybe Carly was AJ's karma for the crap he pulled? Or Carly was Bobby's karma? Because she pulled all kinds of crap shenanigans. And I mean, I know that they made Tony, the big bad, but also keep in mind, Carly didn't drug that man. Carly didn't get that man drunk. All she did was flatter a middle-aged man ego. All she did was invite. He's the one. And I know they say he didn't know that she was Bobby's daughter. He knew she wasn't his wife.
Yeah.
He might not have known Carly was Bobby's daughter, but he knew Carly was not Bobby, who he was married to. Carly did not. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. All right. So we do need to move on. Here's another gripe that I have with the soap community online. Why is it that anytime people share scenes where they're actually happy and laughing and having a good conversation, they think they're flirting? I saw so many people looking at the interaction between Lulu and Gio as flirting.
Yeah. And let me expand this a little further. Over on Daytime Dish, they're calling Lulu a pedo. I'm like, okay, well, one, Gio is an adult, and that wasn't what was going on.
Right.
She wasn't flirting with him. Wasn't what was happening. And the entire point of it was for Brooklyn to see it and be all pissy.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. If that was not what's going on, there was no vibe of that. But how soapy would it be?
Yeah, I know.
Emma's trying to honeypot Dalton.
Yep.
How soapy would that be? Gio sees Emma kissing Dalton, and he runs to Lulu, one of the only people he can talk to, or he wants to go see his brother Rocco, but he's out, and Lulu's there, and she's a couple glasses of wine in, and come on. That shit is soapy as hell.
It's soapy, but it's also the start of many porn videos, or so I've heard.
Yeah, and I don't think it's what's happening, but I wouldn't hate it because it would be soapy. But GH doesn't do that kind of soapy. You need to go over to Bold and the Beautiful for that sort of thing.
But see, here's the thing. I don't like the idea that everybody equates laughter, happiness, good conversations with flirtiness. It's just sad. It's like the people that are behind the keyboards are just the loneliest bunch of saps out there. Yeah. Like, that's all it boils down to.
I know, but it's also a lot of it's also trolling.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people didn't actually see anything going on, but they're going to pretend they did because they can troll with it, is the thing. You know what I mean? That's going to be the thing about it. And I don't think GH is going to go there, and I don't think that's. But it's also anytime a male or a female share a scene, people are like, "Oh my God, they're chem testing them."
Yeah,
I'm like, they're not. Not everything is a chem test.
No.
And people also.
Just
I'm just going to real quick go on another one of my. I'll do a mini rant on one of my big pet peeves.
Yep.
When people go, so and so don't have chemistry. And they can't put them together. They don't have chemistry. My brothers and sisters in Christ. Chemistry is subjective. Like beauty, like acting talent, like so many things. Chemistry is subjective. And you can say you don't see it. One, that doesn't mean that the show doesn't see it. That doesn't mean that other people don't see it.
Yep.
And so you cannot across the board say, you can say, I don't think they have chemistry. And that's 100% valid. But you can't say they can't hook them up. They don't have chemistry. I'm sorry. That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Right.
Sorry. You negate your entire, I don't, whatever. You know what I mean? And everybody sees chemistry different. Just like everybody sees good looks different. Everybody sees acting talent different. We all have our own points of view on things. And you might not see chemistry somewhere, but somebody else does. And I mean, like people all the time, Jason and Carly are a great example. They don't have chemistry. Well, you hear Steve Burton talk about it. He talks about how the great chemistry him and Laura Wright have all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and he's in it. Or, you know, well, there are people who don't think she has chemistry with anybody. But again, that's hate goggling. That's hate watching. I can't even begin to whatever. Yeah. Michael and Trina. I'm like, what? One, I like Trina a lot. Trina and Michael would be Willow and Michael because they're both good. We need good and bad to balance each other out. We need spiciness. Trina is too good. She needs a bad boy. And Spencer could have been a great bad boy, but the problem with Spencer is that it just wasn't that he was a bad boy. He was comprised entirely of red flags and with, you know, I mean, I love all of the complaining about Kai's big betrayal. I'm like, Spencer let that woman go on trial for her life.
Yeah.
With the risk of prison. He let her go on trial when he had information that could have helped her. But he didn't want to get himself in trouble. So knock it off.
And he was also scared of God, I can't remember her name. Esme. He was also afraid of Esme. He didn't want, you know, to betray her.
Right, but it was a lot of it was that he had left prison.
Yeah, that too.
Remember, he had escaped prison to go to his mother's grave, and that's where he saw Trina. Yep. And he was told, if the courts find this out, you're going back to jail. And I know that Trina told him, don't sacrifice yourself. But a man would have. No, Trina and Michael would not make the show better. And Michael already has 3 children from 3 different families. Well, I mean, I guess Nell and Willow are
the same family almost.
But Sasha is the Scorpio. And Michael does not need a 4th child. Not yet.
Yeah, Spencer was totally weak. I agree.
He was a fuckboy. That was Spencer. Spencer was an absolute, like the definition. You look it up in the dictionary and you see Nicholas Alexander Chavez as Spencer Castaneda. He was a fuckboy, comprised entirely of red flags. Just no, no. Love yourself.
And the guy that she liked before him, Rory, he was a cop. He gets killed because he's a nice guy.
And also to you know, Rory was a red shirt. Come on. I don't even watch Star Trek, and I know what a red shirt is, and that was Rory.
I have no idea what that means.
Well, Remember in Star Trek? Oh, if you don't watch Star Trek, never mind. I forgot who I was talking to. In Star Trek, they have the different color shirts, and it's
yes, I know
always
that.
the guy when they go down to a planet. It's always the guy that's in the red shirt. That's just ensign so and so that's going to die. The red shirts die.
Basically.
Yes, they're a nothing character. They're just there to die. They're bullet stuff. They're fodder.
So Christina, we did talk about Ava and Cody earlier, but I like Molly and Cody together. I think they balance each other out. Cody is in it for the money, but it provides such a good story because Christina is literally sabotaging her sister in multiple ways at this point.
My God. I mean, seriously. Good Lord. Oh, I have a Josh Kelly update.
I know he's off contract.
He is off contract, but it was his choice.
Yes.
Frank offered him a contract. He turned it down because he wants to have freedom to do other things. But I don't think we're going to be seeing him less, and they are committed to the story that they have laid out for him. He is not leaving, and it was his choice to go recurring. Frank asked him to re-sign a contract, but he did not want to re-sign, which is fine. I mean, James Patrick Stewart was non-contract his entire time. With Sophia Matson, it was different. The show did not offer to renew her contract, but again, there were other reasons for that if somebody wants to know, I'll do a Zoom next Friday if you guys want. Although the rules for the Zoom have changed because people broke the unbreakable vow.
Uh-oh.
And released information.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, Josh Kelly is not going anywhere. He is on recurring, but it was his choice. And he's staying.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a Marvel movie not too long ago. I mean, of course, Marvel's under the same umbrella as Disney, but
yes.
He wants to do more stuff, and you can't hold it against them. I mean, we saw that Taj Bello got into college, into a film school, so he got, he got in there, so that's why he wasn't on there. So that's what they want to do it. Sometimes they have the story, sometimes they don't. TJ was floundering. They didn't have anything for him. So, Taj Bello decided what he had to do. Chad Duell was big into the story for Michael, but he had some things that he had to take care of in his life, decided to leave for a while, and he was offered to come back and he declined. Right. That's why they went with that.
And, at the end of the day, they needed Michael on the canvas. And they were talking about that on Stephen Bradford's podcast as well, is that Chad was great. They loved Chad, but Michael was needed. They had to bring on a Michael. And I'm glad they did. Rory is great. I mean, I had nothing against Chad. I don't know now if I would want him back just because Rory.
No, I agree.
I agree. Good. Oh my God, he's just been amazing.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and I really encourage people to go watch that podcast. It was really good. He really talked a lot about how, what he's done to, with this role and how he's approached it. And it's so funny. They just went on break and he already posted a picture of the lot and said, can't wait to get back to work.
Yep.
He's got like a month off. So, simmer down, sweetie. Yes, Rory is so good with Laura. He was so good with Joss. I loved the scenes with him and Joss about why he wasn't the godmother. I absolutely loved that. I can't wait till he finds out she's a WSB agent.
Yeah.
I would love him to find out first. And he'd be like, I am telling mom. And you can't tell mom. Please.
I think Jason knows.
Yeah.
I think Jason knows.
I don't think Jason knows, but I think he suspects there's something weird going on.
Yeah.
Because he was definitely suspicious with the Easter Island thing.
Yes, he was.
Because he had been there and that raised an eyebrow, but I also think he has a lot going on. But I mean, he also knows that she's involved in this Dalton stuff, and Anna. I thought that was so interesting how Anna used the Carly and Joss angle to get him to help. Yep. Since when does Anna need that to get him to help? But I liked that they did that.
I did too, because like they've had this friendship because of Robin, but even going over to rescue Lucky and everything, just she has not had to use the Carly card,
right? And I mean, I don't hate that they went that angle because I know why they went that angle. You know what I mean? They're playing up the Carly and Jason relationship, which I love.
Yep.
I also loved there was a rewrite the other day when Carly and Jason were talking about Michael's christening.
Okay.
Jarly fans caught it. Most of us did anyway, and went, yes! Because Michael said to Carly, because she was like, when I came back, my baby had a name. And he said, Michael, after Sonny and Mike, two of my favorite people. That's the first time Jason ever said that it had anything to do with Mike. He has always said that it was just after Sonny, even though it was Mike's name as well. And Mike was Michael's godfather. But Jason even told Mike back then. Sonny was off screen, but Jason and Mike were still friends. Jason was running things. And Mike was Michael's godfather. Jason even told Mike that he was naming the baby Michael after Sonny.
Wow.
And he told Michael he named him after Sonny. He told, the Quartermains were bullshit. You named him after a mobster. But then the other day, it was that he named him after Sonny and Mike. And the Jarly fans were like, oh, we love that because that's watering down the Jason and Sonny bond a little bit.
All right, Donna, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never got into Star Trek or Star Wars. I am psyched for the sequel of Spaceballs, though. Spaceballs 2 is coming out.
Yeah. In my house, I actually have a thing. It says Spaceballs, the light switch.
That's awesome.
I love Spaceballs. But I'm also a very big Star Wars fan. I've only caught bits and pieces of Star Trek here and there. I've never sat down and watched a whole one of the movies, but I'm a pop culture geek, so I know about red shirts. So
the only Star Trek stuff that I really know is from Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm.
And their nerddom about that.
Their nerddom about it, yeah.
But
yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice for TJ to come back at some point, whether it's a recast or not, but again, he's really not needed right now. Molly is moving on. Curtis and Portia have their story, and they kind of slowly phased out Taggart. There was a brief mention of him this week, but outside of that, there's really no need for TJ. But I will say there's thunder in paradise when it comes to Curtis and Portia, and Portia confronting Jordan. Holy shit. That was just uncalled for. And Portia is feeling so guilty because of everything going on. Like, she caused all of this.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. She did, but she was also right with what she said to Curtis.
Yes.
That his ship Drew is what led Drew to her. And, I would have liked her to throw Selena Wu in his face.
Yes, exactly. That would have been good.
Because this is the thing. Curtis is a big, giant fucking hypocrite.
He is.
Yep. In many ways. He came down on Jordan for not telling her stuff that it was part of her job as a police officer. It was part of her job. And he came down on her not telling him about it. And that ended their marriage. And then I understand he was totally justified in being upset about Trina. Absolutely 100%. But they did get past it. So once you get past it, it's no longer argument fodder, is what I've been told.
Yep.
And, she didn't give him all kinds of crap. She wasn't happy about Selena Wu, but she wasn't ending their marriage over it. And he knew about her changing the test results.
Yeah.
She didn't tell him about Brad blackmailing her, but this is the thing. Brad blackmailing her at first wasn't that big of a deal and didn't affect him. It was hospital business.
Right.
So it was very, very hypocritical of him. And I wish she had thrown the Selena Wu stuff in his face. I do like that she called him a hypocrite and pointed out that it was his shit with Drew that led Drew to her doorstep.
Agreed.
Well, and is that all fall by the wayside with the black characters on GH? But here's the thing, Kaiwan. Curtis defends the hell out of Nina.
Yeah.
He has no problem with any lie Nina wants to tell.
And I agree with you, Donna.
Oh, yeah. And he was all up Drew's ass about being with Carly because of, her not telling Nina about Willow.
Yep.
So he has no problem forgiving Nina. And that's not just him forgiving all white women. It's just that one.
Yeah.
That he's so forgiving of. They need to just hook, Curtis up with Nina and, leave my hotties, let Jordan and Portia hook up together. That'd be all kinds of pretty. Or they could be a couple with Isaiah. I'm there for that too.
I am there with that as well.
I think that young man could keep both of them satisfied. Portia does know about Curtis and Miss Wu because remember Miss Wu was like threatening Curtis for a while because she was trying to fight, and that's why he had to. Yeah.
I don't know about Curtis and Nina dating. They were more just friends. I mean, that's all it boils down to. But again, you got to remember, Donnell Turner also said he didn't want to kiss all the women in Port Charles, like all the women on the show. They literally had him with 2 women because that's all, that's his personal preference. He didn't want to be one of those people that kissed all over the place. So
I was very, very shocked at the aggression in him and Portia's beginning of that love scene because that's not their vibe.
No.
Tearing each other's clothes off and stuff like that. I was like, oh yeah, go him. He doesn't like to do love scenes anyway. He's not a big fan of doing any love scenes. I mean, he'll do them when they tell him you're doing a love scene, but he doesn't love it. But yeah.
Well,
but I was surprised that they had them being so, hot for each other, because that's usually not how they've played them. Usually it's been very sweet, romantic, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But, I'm all for let's have sex on the desk. We need a little bit more love in the afternoon. Oh, God, we've been going a while. Yeah.
We have been going for an hour and 42 minutes at this point. 248 people watching on Shady Sunday. I love it. Thank you so much. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on over those notification bells so that you get notified anytime any wrestling or soap content come on this network. Now, I do want to let you all know, next week we will not be here because I'm going to be on vacation. So we will be back on July. Oh, what date will that be? It will be July 13th, I believe. No, July 14th. We will be back for Suds News, but we'll actually be back in just a little while with Gate Crashers. Kim will be joining us. So we're going to end this now and kind of regroup. Don't forget to go out and vote for the Sudsies, suds-media.com/Sudsies voting. You got just 24 hours left because it does end on July 1st. But folks, David, you'll have to fill me in on that.
I do too, David. I just don't I don't want to talk about stuff like that, about like people's personal things like that on the podcast. But yes, that'll be another thing we could talk about in Spaces or a Zoom. But yes, I'll tell you after we get off too. All
right. So folks, we will be back in just less than 20 minutes at this point for Gate Crashers. Angela, where can everybody find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Brooklyn74, pettyprattle.com, parade.com. I'm also on Facebook at Angela Ryan Duncan. And if you guys want, I'm not on vacation next week, so I could do a Spaces on Twitter.
Yeah,
where you can ask me questions or do something like that. So I'm going to put a poll up on my Twitter if you guys want me to do a Spaces, or if you want me to do like a YouTube live where you can log in and ask me questions. So I'll put a poll up and you guys can tell me what you want.
Absolutely.
Because I'm around.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah,
so folks,
he had to do it by himself, so I can take some bullets for us.
Well, there you go. Absolutely. All right, folks, we are out of time. We'll be back in 15 minutes with Gate Crashers. As always, that is Angela. I am Vinny. You can find me on everywhere Vinny Suds, or Suds Media, or Suds _ Circle Media, whatever the case is, suds-media.com. All right, folks, we'll be back in 15 minutes with Gate Crashers. Have a great night.